a previous student whose name was Khalid, and Alhamdulillah, he ended up achieving his dream score. And one of the things that he mentioned was the ways in which the teacher was explaining. They were helpful and useful. So I hope that it's the same case with you guys. One thing I wanted to mention over here is everything that I've devised in the training program is something that has worked with students in the past. For example, if it doesn't work for you, or you want some tweaks and you want to change around a few things, please feel free to let your instructor know. Like, you know what, this is working for me, but I don't think I want to do this. And if you do this, things are going to be better for me, more chances of me getting the score. What we want is for you to be able to get the score, and we are willing to change about our ways in which that are actually going to be helpful for you. So I hope you do make a note of that. And I hope you do voice your opinions with your instructor. And I hope you do let them know if there's anything that's not lining up with you and if there's anything that needs tweaks. So before we move on, today what we're doing are a few questions around analogies. And we'll try and see the patterns, different types of questions that come up, and how to go about them. Let's start with the first one. As usual, just drop in your answer options in the chat box, and then I would go over them. Analogies sometimes can seem a bit very easy, and there's a chance students may solve the question in under a minute. But just remember, giving every question its due minute is extremely important. So the first question we have, bricks is to house. So the relationship between bricks and house is that you use bricks to make a house, bones to something. So you use bones to make a roof, skeleton, key, doctor. This is a pretty straightforward question, right? I'm sure everyone's going to know the answer over here. So the bones construct together to make the skeleton.
السلام عليكم ناس.
Wa alaikum assalam. So we're doing analogies and we're on question number 1. Yes, we got those answers right. Bones construct together to give us a skeleton. Very straightforward question, but always remember a lot of analogy questions. So we're not just practicing questions, we're also trying to look into the different types of tricks that are being used in analogy questions and how we could successfully go through them. One of the common tricks of analogy is the question looks very easy. Students get overconfident and then ends up getting it wrong. So even if it looks like bone, skeleton, of course, and the next question, no, hold on, go through the options, each one of them, make sure that the rest of them are incorrect, and then we move
Okay.
on to the next one, to the next question. So question number 1, the answer is B, skeleton. Let's move on to question number 2. Toyota and car, what's the relationship? The first thing we usually need to identify in analogies is what's the relationship between these two. So what's the relationship between Toyota and car?
Miss,
Yes.
miss, since Toyota's type of car, and a bass is a type of guitar, is the answer A?
Yes, it's going to be. So if anyone else wants to unmute their mic and share answers, that's great. Yes, that's correct, Ghalia. It's going to be A, because bass is a kind of type of guitar, and then Toyota is a type of car. Yeah, and it's actually nice, to hear your voices. So if you guys want to unmute your mic and communicate, that's great. If you want to share answers in the chat box, that's great. Whichever option suits you. Yes, that's correct, Muhammad. And this, you guys got that right too. So then let's move on to the next answer option. As always, before moving, I just want to rule out the rest of them so I'm not falling into the overconfident category. Paris is a type of France. Rice is a type of wheat. Bicycle is a type of road. They aren't really matching up. So I think I got the answer right. Let's move on to question number 3. Caterpillar and butterfly. What's the relationship between them? There are different stages of their life, right? Of the life cycle, caterpillar usually comes in the life cycle of the butterfly. So what do you guys think is the answer? Yeah. So alhamdulillah, everyone's getting them right. Again, I don't want to fall into the overconfident category. I want to make sure I go through all the answer options. Baby and adult are parts of the life cycle of a human being. Toad and frog, are they yeah, toad does not actually become a frog, like caterpillar becomes a butterfly. Baby becomes an adult, so that's out. Airplane does not become fly, they're two different things. Cocoon, silk, again, they're two different things. One produces the other. So we got the answer A, correct. Let's move on to the next question. Tired, weak. The relationship between them is when you're tired, you feel weak. They're almost like synonyms, but sometimes you can be tired, but not necessarily weak. So one thing actually leads to the other. When you're tired, you can become weak. That's a relationship. So which of the answer options share that relationship? Good. Okay, you guys are saying C. So bees and insect. Bees are a type of insect that doesn't have anything to do with the question. Office is a type of work, or you do work in the office. Again, there's no correlation. Dirty, filthy. So something can be dirty, but not necessarily filthy until it becomes super dirty and then it's filthy. It's a similar relationship to tired and weak. You can be tired, but it takes some time for you to actually feel weak. So you get weak after being tired for some time. Similarly, something's going to get filthy if it's been dirty for some time. So there's a correlation here. The last answer option is river to water. Again, there's no correlation. So we're going to go ahead with C. Okay, brilliant. Those are the same answers you guys have. Next question. Storm is to lightning. So what's the relationship between these two? Lightning usually happens during a storm. So lightning happens during a storm. Magazine happens during a newspaper. Pain happens during an injury. Yes, there's a correlation. And answer option B. Systematically happens random. No, they're opposites. Chair and table. Again, no correlation. So answer option B would be the right answer. Yep. You guys got them. Everyone got B as well. So let's move on to the next one. Swell, burst. Something keeps swelling, it's going to eventually burst. That's the relationship between these two. So something keeps lighting, it's going to ignite eventually. Nope. Something keeps falling, it's going to drop eventually. Or if you keep nipping, it's going to be bite eventually. Um, so I would say this analogy kind of falls into the category where the exact relationship between the question And the answer options, none of them are 100% accurate. So we have to choose the one that suits the best. So far, we've been dealing with analogies where a lot of them seemed pretty easy, but we were being cautious of not falling into the trap of being overconfident. So we had to remind ourselves to spend 1 minute per question, even if it seems very easy. This is a little bit different because when you go through the answer options, actually none of them seem to have the same relationship. So we're going to try and go over them again to find the best pick. Light and ignite. You light up something and it ignites. Freeze and melt are actually the opposite. Swell and burst are not the opposites. So B is out. Fall and drop are synonyms. If something falls, that means it drops. Something drops, that means it falls. So they're actually synonyms. Swell and burst are not synonym. It's actually a higher degree. Burst is burst is a higher degree of swell. Nip and bite. There is a higher degree effect over here as well. Nip is like a small bite and a bite is a full bite. So there is some relationship over here. So B and D. No, we said A and D, right? Light and ignite. So D seems like the most accurate answer. Let's see what you guys have here in your answer options. Yeah, we have mixed answers. See, subhanAllah, like so far, everyone's been giving the same answers because of how simple and straightforward it was. Now, this particular question is kind of twisted because the exact answer option is not there. And see how we've got mixture of answers. So this is something to identify that so when you expect that there are going to be questions and analogies where none of the answer options are going to feel wrong. So when I go through the answer options, am I going to say, oh my God, I don't know what's the answer, I'm going to get this wrong? Or am I going to anchor myself like, hold on, I know analogies has questions where none of the answer options match. I still have to stay anchored and just do my best under 1 minute. So giving yourself that reminder and for questions like these is extremely important. So A. So yeah, some of you have A, some of you have D. I'm tilting towards D. How are you guys tilting towards A? Because when you light something, ignite and light could actually be true. You know, if there were opposites, because if you ignite something, it lights up. If we're speaking of fire kind of situation. If you ignite something, it lights up. But how is light and ignite the same as swell and burst? Nip and bite. Nip is a small bite, like swell is an initial state, and then eventually it bursts. So more sense to me. If you're still tilted towards answer option A, please do let me know what's the relationship that you're making, or then if you're willing to go with D, then that's fine. So anyone wants to say anything on this question before we move on? Perfect. All clear? Okay. And let's move on to the next question. Fresh portrait, what's the relationship between these two? Once we identify the relationship, we will try and match it with the answer options. They're the opposites of each other. So now we're looking for opposites. Motionless, stationary, synonyms. So they rule out. Delightful, refusal are opposites. Bicycle, pedal, there's no correlation. Ancient and old, synonyms. So The only answer, option B, is the one that's opposites. So we have A, B, B. So motionless and stationary would be synonyms, right? They're the same thing. And what we're looking for are opposites. So Halia, do you agree that the answer option would be B? If you have any questions, let me know. And another thing I want to mention is um, just like in the beginning of today's session, I mentioned that you have to vocalize whatever is working for you and not working for you. So we steer in that direction. Similarly, when it comes to asking questions, that's the relationship between me and you. I'm the teacher, you're the student. You will have questions, and I will answer your questions to the best of my capacity. So please make sure you don't hesitate to ask questions. Would you rather lose points on the actual test or ask question right now? Ask questions right now. So please get get yourself, even when I was a student, I would like just sit there, have a bit of a confusion and be like, should I say it out? Should I not? But it's always good to say it out, um, to crease out, any confusion. Oh, wait, how is A synonyms? Motionless, so something that's stationary. Let's say I say that, this car is stationary. That means it's not moving. So, right? So motionless also means the same thing. There's no motion. It's on the same spot. Stationary also means it's on the same spot. So sometimes so let me know, Ghali, if that makes sense, or not. And another thing I want to say is a lot of times, there are so many words in the world. And of course, we're not going to know the meaning of all of them. So making intelligent guesses is also something we need to practice when it comes to the vocab. So for example, if I don't know the meaning of some of these words, I'm sure you know the meaning of answer option A, but sometimes words do come in which are something that we haven't heard before. So in that case, what should we do? Smart guessing is the way to go about it. If I look at a question, I'm like, oh my God, what is it even saying? Because three of these words I don't know the meaning to. So am I going to fall into the trap where it's like I lose my anchor and I go like it manages to throw me off? Or do I stay anchored? I pull myself back and I'm like, hold on, there are complicated words over here, and that's fine. I just have to do my best. Most probably, if these are words I haven't heard before, a lot of students who are doing this test have not heard this before. I just have to do my best. And very luckily, Qiyas is a percentile kind of scoring system. So when you go into the test 100 questions and you get 10 of them wrong, does not mean you're getting 90%. You may still get 100 or you may get 60 based on how other people did. So you're always in comparison with how the rest of the students are doing. So which is why you just have to do your best. If it's a difficult question, most probably everyone's going to get it wrong. If there are words that don't make sense, most probably everyone's going to get it wrong. I would rather you tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to skip this question because most probably everyone's going to get it wrong. Then tell yourself, oh my God, I don't know what this means. I think I'm going to get this wrong. Never speak negatively to yourself during the test. Always tell yourself positive things so you stay anchored and stay confident. Of course, in the real test, even if you don't know anything, make any guess so that way you at least have 25% chances of getting it right. Never skip anything, because you just choose anything. But smart guessing is something that it's something that you have to do in GAT with vocab words, or if you're running short of time. Yeah, smart guessing is a thing that you want to get used to of. So next time when you're practicing something you don't understand, doesn't make sense, do the same thing. Tell yourself something positive. You know what? You got it. You got it. And then just do your best. Because whatever you're practicing, during the practice period is what's going to happen in the result period as well. The test time, I mean. Okay, shall we move on to the next question? Ghali, any questions? Or we're ready to move on? Okay, perfect. So, consistent, steady. What's the relationship between these two? And then let's find the correlation. When something consistent, it's usually steady. So they're almost like synonyms. Then answer option A, reject, accept, they're opposites. Reject and accept are opposites. So I rule out answer option A. Salary and work. Salary is something you get when you work. So this could be an answer option if I don't get anything else, which is closer. Strategy and plan. Strategy and plan are almost the same thing. When you're making a strategy, you're actually making a plan. So they're actually the same thing. This has a stronger correlation with the question. Consistency, steady, they're almost synonyms, and strategy or plan are synonyms. D, implement and devise. So devise a solution would be like trying to come up with a solution. Implementing would be actually taking action and implementing. So this could have been the answer, but because we have answer option C, which is more accurate, I'm going to go with that and not D and not B. And A is completely incorrect. So answer option C is the one that I'm going to choose. Let me see what you guys have here in the chat box. Okay, so we have two C's and a D. So Dima, I think what you did here completely makes sense because I was also going to go for D, just because they had C and that was the closer option. I chose C. Now, this is another type of trap that comes up in analogy. So far, we've done two traps. One of them is getting overconfident that, oh my God, this is so easy, I know it. Instead of that, spending the whole 1 minute on the question. The second trap was when none of the answer options seemed like the correct answer. And that kind of question can throw off the student because the student's going to think, oh my God, I don't know the answer. But you still need to anchor yourself and choose the best possible answer. This is the third type of trap that you can fall into while doing analogy questions is you have more than one correct answer option. So something that would be incorrect would be answer option A, because the question consistent and steady are almost like synonyms. But answer option A, reject and accept, are opposites. So of course, this is not the answer. But for the rest of them, they do have some correlation with the question. That means any of them could be correct. But we need to choose the one that makes the most sense or the one that correlates the most. So answer option B, I mean, given that we have C and D, B would also be ruled out because it's not synonyms or it's basically salary is the product of doing work. And then strategy and plan are the same thing because when I'm making a strategy, how am I going to teach my GAT students? How am I going to help my students to get their scores? I'm making a strategy. How are you going to get your score? You're doing a strategy, um, which is making a plan. Implementation is different. It's different from planning. Implementation means start studying, start teaching. So implementation is slightly different. And devise could also be something similar to a plan because you're trying to devise a solution. Usually you might have heard like I'm trying to devise a solution. So you're trying to figure out a solution, trying to plan or trying to understand something. Implement is the word that is not fitting in because implementation means action. Uh, so yeah, Dima, I hope it makes sense. Let me know if you still have a question here. But I'm happy that you chose a different answer because that way I got to speak about the a very common trap with analogies where you have similar answer options and then you don't know which one to choose. Any questions, Dima, or we're ready to move forward? Okay. See it. Okay, perfect. So next is argument and disagreement. Argument and disagreement. They're kind of similar, right? And usually when you have a disagreement, that's when you have chances of an argument. An argument cannot usually happen if two people are not disagreeing with each other over something. So let's just say um, an argument comes from a disagreement. Now let's check the answer options. A teacher comes from a classroom, maybe. A bicycle comes from a wheel. Not really. If it was the other way around, a wheel comes from a bicycle, maybe. Sunrise comes from the morning. Actually, again, if it was the other way around, that morning comes because of the sunrise. If sunrise didn't happen, there would be no morning. So, so answer option B and C are ruled out. Reject comes from deny. So reject comes from deny is the closest answer option because when something is denied, that's when someone feels rejected. So, and same as argument and disagreement, when there's a disagreement, it ends up becoming an argument. When there is a denial, it ends up becoming a rejection, sometimes, of course. Yeah, so answer option D would be the correct answer. Let me know if you guys have any confusion here. Wow, very interesting because I'm seeing that all the questions, so you guys can see the difference between the questions where answer is clear and the question where answer is not clear. Because every time a question is very straightforward, you all get it wrong. You all get it right every time. Next, then. Question number 10, wedding, celebrate. So a wedding is an event where people are celebrating. Sleep is where people snore. Yes, can be. Consider is where people decide. It's actually more like consideration leads to a decision. Work is where people are tired, not necessarily. Upset is where people are devastated. Again, not necessarily. Upset and devastated it's a excuse me, it's an extreme form. Devastated and is an extreme form of upset. So I think this one could be pretty straightforward as well. Sleep, snore. What do you guys think? Yeah, we have three answer options. Sleep and snore. So I think this was kind of straightforward, right? The next 10, what happened here? Oops. Next question, bees, honey. Bees produce honey. That's a relationship over here. Lion produces mane, cow produces farm, Langur, lion produces jungle, snake produces poison. I think this would fall into the straightforward category. Let's see. Yeah. So you guys got it right, straight up. Okay, next question. Oven, cook. So the correlation would be oven is used to cook food. Umbrella is used to rain. Umbrella is used in rain. So it's not really the same kind of correlation. Oven and cook, umbrella and rain. Wax is used for polish, which is true. Dog is lives in a kennel. Scissor uses blades. Yeah, so would this be straightforward as well or not? So I did not get that many answers. So maybe not. Let's go over it again. We only got one answer. Sundars, that's correct. Oven is used to cook. Umbrella is used in the rain, maybe, but it's slightly different because it rains first and then you need an umbrella. Over here, you have the oven first and then you cook in there. So it's slightly different. I'm not going to choose it unless I have no answer options that tally. I'm not, that's the only way I'm going to choose A. So it's pretty off, but it's not incorrect. B, wax and polish. Wax is used for polish, just like oven is used for cooking. So actually, a strong correlation over here. Dog and kennel is where it's his home. This is where he lives. Um, Scissor, blade. So blade is a part of the scissor. So no correlation here. I would think this is, yeah, I would think the wax and polish would be the answer option. But if you guys have any questions, let me know because I'm not getting that many answers. Or maybe I did now. Yeah, so I think that's good. Everyone's going for answer option B. Okay, so we're done with our questions for today. We covered analogy and we looked into 3 types of traps that you can fall into while doing analogy questions. Most of the live sessions that we're going to be doing as a group is going to be around the test taking, exam taking strategies. And we're going to take a different topic next time and similarly try and identify the type of questions that come up and the type of traps you can fall into so you brace yourself and prepare accordingly. Two other than the 3 traps we discussed in analogies, and just to review what the 3 traps were, the question can be straightforward and you end up getting overconfident and then answering very fast and getting it wrong. So 1 minute per question. That's the rule. The next trap was the question does not have any correct answers. Throws off the student. Student thinks, oh my God, I don't know. But in reality, none of the answers are correct, and you just have to choose the best possible answer. Third trap, more than one answer option is right. Sometimes students can see answer option A and be circle and move on. Again, you need to spend 1 minute per question. Or sometimes it can confuse the student. A and B, both of them are right, or A, B, C, even all 3 of them are right. I've never seen an analogy question where all 4 are right, but I have seen analogy questions where 3 can be right, or 2 is very common. 2 answers are right. Then what you can get confused. So one of the things is, again, staying anchored is the first thing. So don't reach conclusions until you read the whole question. But for example, the question mixes you up. It happened to us over here today that we were like, is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Review, mark it for review, come back to it later on. So you see it with fresh eyes, and then it's easier to pick the answer if it confuses you. So these kind of questions can confuse you. So those are 3 traps with analogies that we identified. Another 2 things that I mentioned were in the beginning, I mentioned that I the plan that you're on is something that I construct updated based on student feedback. So if you give me feedback like, Miss, this is working for me, this is not working for me, then I could, upgrade it accordingly, specifically for you. So we're doing things that are working for you and not doing things that are not working for you. And even for future students, so it's easy for them to reach their scores as well. Oh, it just said internet something. I hope you guys can hear me. Please let me know in the chat box because just got a notification, something related to internet. So anyways, I hope I'm audible still. And the second thing we said was get comfortable asking questions. Push yourself. If your question is just right here at the bottom of your throat, say it out. Don't hold it in because you'd rather say something today instead of losing a few points on your test. So asking question, that's a relationship that we have. We're the teachers, you're the student, you ask questions, we answer. So nothing strange over here. And then we started our session today with Khalid's story. And then alhamdulillah, we saw it in the review that he shared that he got a 93%. I'm going to be bringing up students every session, so you can see that there are so many students who, were kind of in the process, just like you guys, ended up achieving their score. Because to be honest, the getting up every day and studying can be boring, can also be challenging. But if we keep in our mind why we're doing this, if we keep, just imagine this is your score. Imagine 3 months from now, Miss Satya is doing a session and she's talking about me. Imagine that. So you need to have some motivation juices to get up every day and do your work, or whatever else your motivation is. Like, I want to make my dad proud, mom proud, get into a certain university, whatever it is. You need to review that every single day to be able to get up and do your best. So, any questions, guys? We're done for today's session. If you have any questions, let me know. Any questions, any suggestions, anything that came up for you. Or then, inshallah, we will connect in our next meeting. You're welcome, Ghalia. So I think no more questions are coming up. So thank you for today. I hope the session was useful for you. Everyone take care, and inshallah, I will see you guys in the next session. Take care. Bye bye. You're welcome, Sundus. Alhamdulillah. I'm happy that was great for you. Alhamdulillah. Take care, guys. Bye bye.